Today I had the pleasure in speaking to Mark Wood, who, along with his wife, has packed everything up into a rucksack and started travelling around the UK and doing some work here, there and everywhere. And it's a really interesting conversation that I had with him. So I hope you enjoy it. Also, he tells us all about his book that he's written, which sounds amazing. So please enjoy today's podcast. Thank you. Hello and welcome to today's podcast, and I'm with Mark, and he's going to introduce himself to us now. So if you'd like to just...
Morning.
Oh, thanks.
I'm Mark. So I kind of came across your podcast and found them really interesting. So thought I'd come and say hello.
That's brilliant.
Me and Karen have been living out of the since April this year.
So what made you change your lifestyle completely?
Well, we've both been working in mental health and education for about 20 years. And for the last 7 years, we've been running our own community interest company that we started from scratch using both of our skills. Ran it from a wood in Ashford in Kent. So we would get young people and adults out to the wood and just give them a hand to kind of understand life a bit better and get them outside and experiencing something a bit different. But working in mental health and education for so long eventually takes its toll, really. Years and years of working with abuse and trauma and all that kind of stuff is really impactful. And we're both adventurers. We both crave a simple, adventurous life. I think we both figured out that we couldn't do the mental health work for another 20 years, so we needed to make a change. And it was either go into a couple of jobs that gave us no purpose or excitement, or go on an adventure.
So you chose the latter. So, what did you do? What have you done in the last 7 months?
Well, our starting point was the South Downs Way in East Sussex. So literally had our lives in two 65-litre rucksacks with a tent and our sleeping bags and our foods and a few clothes and a few essentials, and we just started hiking and wandering. Wow. So we walked the South Downs Way and we wild camped the whole of that. We'd done a little bit of wild camping before, but not much. So we kind of started off with 10 days wild camping, which was amazing. Like the freedom straight away, everything just lifted within 48 hours probably. And we knew it was the right thing.
Yeah. So how do you manage? So obviously technology is quite an important thing in our lives these days. How have you managed with with like laptops, mobiles, and how like for charging and things like that? How did you have a setup?
We have a solar charged power battery power pack that kind of charges up, and that's just enough to keep the phones going. The phones we tend to, during the day, we don't tend to have on, although I have mine on a bit more because I like to take photos and videos for the videos that I make for the YouTube channel that we've got following everything. So a few videos and stuff, but that was one of the benefits of it. We weren't on our technology all the time, which was really nice. I did bring a laptop, but just for my writing and poetry and that kind of stuff, which is a bit of a when every ounce counts because it's on your back. It was a bit of a luxury taking a little laptop, but I kind of felt like I needed to really.
So where did you go next from your first walk?
Well, it was really tough. The South Downs Way is a really, really tough walk.
Is it?
So maybe we should have gone to Norfolk. That was a bit flatter to start this adventure, maybe. So it was, physically, it was really impactful on us. So we done that and we got to Winchester. We had no plans, and that's part of the beauty of not knowing what we're doing from day to day. So we got to Winchester for a couple of days rest and decided to contact a couple of workaways. I don't know whether you've heard of Workaway.
No, I don't think I have.
It's a massive worldwide website where you can contact people who are looking for help around their properties and their farms, and they put you up, so they give you board and they feed you, and you give them 20 hours work a week.
All right.
So it's a really cheap way of kind of travelling, meeting new people, learning new skills. So we messaged someone on a Monday and we got there on the Thursday.
Oh, fantastic.
So we spent 2 weeks at their workaway, helping them around their garden and stuff. And they were a wonderful couple, really, really nice.
I bet that was interesting, meeting different people all the time as well.
Oh, it's brilliant. It is brilliant. I'd done a couple about 10 years ago in Australia and New Zealand when I went travelling on my own for a bit. They're a fascinating way of moving around the country for no money at all.
That is a brilliant way of doing it. Have you done other ones as well?
We've done loads. We're on one at the moment in Somerset, which will be here for 7 weeks in total on the Magdalen farm. So it's a massive 130-acre farm. But they work with local communities, so they get kids out here. They have a busload of like 50, 60 kids turn up each week that stay for 3 or 4 nights and learn about animal care and farming and just get them outside. And some of these kids have never been out of the city before, so it's brilliant.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And we're hoping to eventually, like on our wanderings, we'll find our dream place to settle and somewhere little small and stuff. So all the skills we're getting taught and learning on the workaways are us for our future, really. So it's a brilliant way of doing it.
That's really, really good. And so are you planning on doing some more workaways, or are you going to go off on your own, the two of you again, or in the new year?
Well, it's kind of a mix, really. So we set the tent home at the beginning of October. Because we kind of figured, from the end of March to the end of September, we'll walk and hike and camp and do the odd workaway. And then during the winter, we'll do longer workaways. Yeah. Because we want to enjoy it. We're not here to make ourselves suffer. Yeah. Like sleeping in a freezing cold tent for 3 months. Although we do know some people that are doing that. Yeah. So during the winter months, we do the workaways. We'll pop back and see some family and friends in March, and then we're going to head up north to Yorkshire and Scotland next year.
Oh, that'll be nice.
Where we're just carrying on wandering and doing workaways, and we've done a couple of house sits as well, which again costs you no money. You go in and look after their pets, and you get the use of their beautiful house, normally in beautiful surroundings, for a couple of weeks. Yeah. So it's been a real mix-up, actually, and I think that's the beauty of it for us.
Yeah, it sounds really, really interesting. And so with the house sits, how have you put yourself out there? Is it friends and family you're doing that for, or have you advertised?
No, we joined a website. So before we left, we joined Workaway website and we joined House Sitters UK website. So between them, it was about 50 quid for the year. Yeah. And it's probably saved us £3,000-4,000 then 2 sites over the last 7 or 8 months.
That's brilliant.
Just through not paying for accommodation and food and stuff.
Yeah, and the people that obviously you have to have anything specific to be able to, like CRB checks or anything specific.
No.
No. So anybody can just go onto these websites and join them.
Yeah. There's a little bit of vetting. They're getting a little bit better. Yeah. We have to fill in an application form for this Workaway because it's a charity. It's a proper organisation. I mean, most of them are just people's personal properties and stuff, and how to have references for this place. But people are screaming out for help, and all over the world, these workaways are all over the world.
That's fantastic. Really anybody can do this, can't they? And what I'll do is I'll get you the information from you before we finish, and we'll put it into for when the podcast goes live. All the information will be in the podcast info.
Okay,
anybody can join. And so, because also you've been writing a book whilst you've been. Is it whilst you've been walking? And
well, I started it about 6 years ago, but with work and everything, it kind of never got to get finished really, but kind of living this lifestyle has allowed my creative flow to jump back into life, and it's given me the time where I can sit and write. So I managed to finish writing it, and I published it last week, which as a first time author was quite a buzz really, and it's going really well.
That's really good. So what's it called and what's it all about?
So it's called Universal Lessons for Change and Reclaiming Your Power. Mm-hmm. So for 20 years, I've been teaching people these universal lessons and myself over and over again with myself at times. But I think that's the way of the world. You need to at times. But I've worked with people over the last 20 years that have suffered trauma and abuse and depression, anxiety, all them kind of things. And some people for absolute decades, and they forget the power that they've got hidden inside them. Yep. And I wanted to write a book that reminded people of what they've got inside them. Yeah. And that's what these universal lessons are about. But each universal lesson is a part of my life. Yeah, and where I've learnt it. So there's some nice stories, there's some sad stories, there's some cringy stories, because I've kind of lived all these lessons myself as well. And I wanted to create a book that people could connect to.
Yeah.
By connecting to the author. Yeah. Like in all my training and stuff that I've read, and my own self-development, I've read so many books where you just read them and you think, well, this author's just wrote this from reading another book.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? There's no connection. I don't get through the book and go, oh, I really like this. I want to know more about this. So I wanted to write a book where people read it and go, actually, this bloke knows what he's talking about.
Yeah.
And in my counselling years and stuff, that's how there was so much success in the work I'd done, was because they got a little bit of me and they kind of understood that I was coming from a place of knowing the crap and the cruelty that exists in the world.
Yeah.
But if you have a little bit of trust in yourself, you can gain that power back.
Yeah.
And that's what I created. I'm really, really proud of it. Feedback so far has been amazing and quite humbling. Also, walking away from the project in the mental health, I wanted to create a way of me still helping people.
Yeah.
But help people in a way that's really good for me and still gives me a purpose, but other people, to a wider audience, benefit from it. So, yeah, that's the thinking behind it. So, yeah, it's on Amazon. It's an amazing read. It's quite emotional and personal. So, yeah.
So it sounds amazing. I will definitely read it. It's right up my street. I wrote a book a couple of years ago, and on the set, that's why it's very similar. It was through my trauma, what I'd gone through, to help showing somebody else that you can go through some really shitty times, basically, but come out the other side, and it's just knowing how to do it, what to do afterwards. So I can, I would definitely be buying that after. Is it on Kindle and paperback, or?
Yes, it's on both. Yeah, the Kindle ebook comes out on the 1st of December, but it is available for pre-order, which is tomorrow. Is that tomorrow?
Yes, it's tomorrow. I shall pre-order that definitely. And when the podcast goes out, your book will have been out for a couple of weeks. But I will definitely put a link out for it anyway today, which will be brilliant. So that's good.
Thank you.
So, how has your wife partner? She really enjoyed doing this.
She's absolutely loved it. She's got a couple of kids, older kids, that are kind of getting on with their own things and stuff, and she wants an adventure and simplicity as much as I do. So it has been amazing. And, we've pretty much spent 24/7 with each other for 7 months, and we've not killed each other yet. We're still getting on really well, which is, I think a lot of people worry about that, because obviously in normal life, you kind of have your times away and you work in different places and that kind of stuff. Although we didn't, we worked and ran the same project.
Yeah.
But it's been amazing. And neither of us has ever really fallen or kind of put much emphasis on that belief that this group of people over here tell you that you've got to work until you're 67, 70 before you can stop working and use that little bit of money to then do something with. I've never really got it. I've never really fallen into that, because I just think you lose a huge amount of your life. Waiting for that time, and then normally 75% of the population is too knackered to do anything.
That's it. Yeah.
By the time you get to 70,
house and everything, don't you?
Yeah. And we've got no money. I don't think. I think I know the two biggest things that hold back people from living a different life are money and time. They're always thinking they need more money, and they're always thinking they've got more time. And just neither of them are true.
Yeah.
I mean, they're both man-made inventions to control people, and they do a very, very good job of it.
That's it. And I don't think it's until you do something you realise how little you need and how much you can do, but without having to do 9 to 5 and just changing your lifestyle, isn't it?
Yeah, and I am aware that everybody's different. So this is mine and Karen's idea of our dream life at the moment. It will change, but that doesn't mean everybody in the world should get up and live out of a rucksack and walk everywhere and stuff.
No,
you know what I mean?
That's it.
But sit down and be honest about what your dream life is.
Yeah.
Because time will run out. Yeah.
That's it. You don't know what's around the corner, and it's just taking the chance. And if you take the chance, if it doesn't work, you go and do something else, don't you?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's having that trust, isn't it? That wherever it takes you, you can deal with it.
Yeah, that's
you just
it.
made a new set of decisions and choices at that point, don't you?
Yeah, that's what we said. We just said, right, we're going to be brave and just do it. And if it doesn't work, we'll change it and do something else.
Yeah. So how long ago did you make your changes?
We moved on in March this year.
Okay.
But it's been in the planning for about 3-4 years, because we had the boat. Luckily, we had the boat built from scratch. So it took a bit of planning, and then COVID stopped it happening quite as quickly.
Yeah.
But so we moved on in March, and we're just going to continuously cruise around the waterways.
Nice.
Yeah, it's good fun.
And it's funny how you what, sorry?
I say it's really good fun so far, and the people that we've met have been amazing.
I was just about to say, until we started looking into doing something different, we thought we were like the only people that done it.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, when you start putting yourself out there, there's this massive community of like-minded or people who think the same.
Yes.
And I think that'll be the same whatever direction people follow their dreams. There's people out there already doing it to connect to them.
Yeah.
And that's what we've found. We've come across some absolutely amazing people over the last year that are living different lifestyles and aren't, directed just by, the normal ways of thinking and living and stuff. And it's amazing, and it's really encouraging. You'll get the odd message from a complete stranger going, loving what you guys are doing, blah, 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 and it's like, wow, that's cool.
That's it. And it's nice and I think it gives other people encouragement so that they can do it too.
Yeah.
That's it. So you were saying earlier that you video, so do you have a YouTube channel as well?
Yes. Yeah. Oh, so I try and make a video once every 2 to 3 weeks. It's quite difficult when you're on the road and stuff.
Yeah.
Just following our adventures, really. We've had some great videos going there with our hiking and walking, and then with the workaways. So it's just a visual representation and history, and it's good for us because it'll always be there for us to look back on.
Yeah, that's brilliant. We'll put links in the information for people to be able to follow you on that. Okay. And we've done exactly the same, and the same reason. So it's something for us to look back on, and we can't manage to move around as much as we do now, sort of thing. So we can keep having the adventure. So it's a very good way of doing it. So what would you say has been the hardest part of the last year with living like you have been doing?
My back hurt.
Yeah, from carrying everything.
But my back hurt before, do you know what I mean? But my back hurts now, and I'm living the life I want to lead. So, I wouldn't say any of it's been hard.
That's good.
The walking and the hiking is hard because I've got 25 kilos on my back, and I'm walking up and down hills. But you feel alive whilst you're doing it.
That's brilliant.
Yeah. Not being close to family and friends is probably the hardest thing. Because contact with us a little bit over time. You don't get to see people. You're missing birthdays and things like that. So that's the hardest part. But we Zoom people regularly. And we text and stuff. So there is still that contact.
Yeah.
And their lives haven't changed at all because we're not there. People's lives don't change. They just crack on and carry on doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
I remember when I went travelling before, I was like, oh my God, how's everybody going to cope if I'm not there to look after them? So, they cope just as, no differently than when you're living, 10 miles down the road from them.
Yeah.
Us following our dreams has made absolutely no difference to their lives at all, other than they miss us and we miss them.
Yeah. And so what would you say is your absolute favourite part of living like you are doing now?
The wild camping, I think, during the summer.
Yeah. And so you probably... I was going to say, how did you cook and with the wild camping, what were you using for cooking and everything?
We've got a little cooker that's about the size of my fist that screws on top of a gas canister.
Oh, right.
And a couple of billy cans.
Yeah.
And that's enough for tea and coffee and rice and fish or whatever we're doing. And as time went on, the meals got better because we're quite good cooks anyway, me and Karen. So, yeah. And, you eat less, or I ended up eating less and drinking more water just naturally, when we started, I was carrying 4 or 5 days worth of food at a time.
Yeah.
That was adding probably 5 or 6 kilos of weight. And it was just too much. So in the end, we were just buying it as we went daily, maybe 2 days, just for the weight thing, really. So you end up carrying as small as possible, really. So cooking's brilliant. A lot of the people on these walking paths were like heads down and they were like, well, I've got to walk 20 miles today to get to this one. Well, we had no destination. So when we woke up every morning, we didn't know where we was going to walk to. Some days we'd walk 5 miles, some days we'd walk 10.
Yeah.
And you'd find this beautiful spot at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and you'd just sit there and watch the world go by for 3 or 4 hours. Because obviously you can't put your tent up in the middle of the day and stuff, so you've got to wait for it to get a bit darker.
Yeah.
So you'd sit there and you just mindfully watch the same space for hours and not have a single moment of getting bored. It's absolutely beautiful. And you have your dinner and you put your tent up and it's just peaceful. No one's there. Everyone stops walking at 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
So you've got no one walking past you or anything like that. You're probably 2 or 3 miles away from towns. So there's just no one there. So it's just really peaceful.
That's brilliant. And have you come across anybody, not being pleasant or anything like that, with pitching your tent up in the wild?
No. We've had one person ask us if we're wild camping and we said yes, mate. And she was like, just make sure you clear up after yourselves. And we're like, we always do.
Yeah, that's it. That's
so,
really good.
Yeah. Within 6 hours of us going the next morning, you wouldn't really know we'd been there. There's people who just go out to make a pain of themselves. Yeah, I mean, wild campers, you would not know they've been there by the end of the next day.
Yeah.
So, it's just freeing. It's just completely freeing. You'd meet people along the track and they'd be like, where are you going to today? Don't know. Oh, how far are you walking? Don't know.
That's...
Do you know what I mean? Just, I don't know, was the answer to all the questions. People were just fascinated by it.
Yeah.
It was brilliant.
That's really good. So you're here for the next, where you are at present for another few weeks now, and then, as you say, you're going up to Yorkshire and Scotland for next year. Have you got...
Yeah, not until April.
Uh-huh. So
we're here until the 20th.
Mm-hmm.
Then we've got a house sit over Christmas for 10 days.
Fantastic.
And then another work away, and then a house sit. And then we go back to Ashford to see friends and family for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And then at the beginning of April, we go up to Yorkshire to see our grandson for a week. And then we're going to walk the coast to coast, so from the Lake District across to Robin Hood's Bay.
So, yeah, that'll be wonderful. It's beautiful. We love up in Yorkshire, so and that'll be a good walk as well for you.
Yeah. And then we're going to head up to Scotland and do some workaways and some hiking and wandering around Scotland for however long. That's about as organised as we are for next year at the moment.
That's brilliant. And so what's your end plan, or have you got an end plan what you want to do? You got any ideas? Are you just going to keep travelling around?
We'll keep doing it until it feels like we shouldn't be doing it. Then eventually, like I say, we want to buy a really small plot and live really simply, grow all our own stuff and a bit of wood and, live off the land kind of thing. But that could be next year, it could be 3 years. We don't know.
So you'll find that special spot.
And that's the beauty. Yeah, and I think we will. I think, on our travels, we will come across it and go, oh, actually, maybe we'll stop now. Yeah. But that's the whole, I've spent 20 years living out of a diary with appointments and got to do this and got that. So to get rid of that diary and not know, it's, magical. It really, really is.
It does. It sounds absolutely idyllic and completely away from the rat race. And compared to what you've been doing as well over the years, it's just a complete change. And your mind must be so much more free.
I think it's quieter and lighter, because as much as you become quite good at, putting your work in little boxes and stuff, if you're working, every hour that you support somebody, if you just take on board 1 minute of that, the rest of it you can process and let go. That 1 minute over 20 years, it becomes heavy. You can't help that. So that's gone. And even though I'm kind of helping people with the book, that weight isn't there because the book is like, right, well, there's me. You work with that on your own rather than me sit there with you. And I think so there's benefits them and it benefits me as well because I haven't got to carry the stuff that I've been carrying for the last 20 years. So yeah, my head is definitely lighter.
That's absolutely brilliant. Well, I just want to thank you very much for coming onto the podcast, and I'm sure a lot of people are going to find it very, very interesting. And as I say, we'll put all the details so they can follow you on your journey on YouTube. And also, you want to just plug your book again and tell them what it's called and where they can get it. And we'll put all the details also in the information of the podcast.
Okay, thank you. So yeah, the book's called Universal Lessons for Change and Reclaiming Your Power. At the moment, it's on Amazon as an ebook and a paperback. So yeah, it would make a good Christmas present for somebody.
That's brilliant. Yeah, thank you ever so much, Mark. And I hope everybody enjoys the book and enjoys.
No, you're welcome.
And I think, it's going to be amazing to follow and enjoy. And I hope you find your little special plot eventually.
We will. Thank you, Maxine. Thank you for your time.
I hope you've enjoyed today's podcast and thank you very much for listening. Please let everybody know about the podcast so we can grow the Alternative Living Chats community. If you would like to join me, drop me a message. And also all the details of today's guests will be in the information of this podcast. Thank you.